Hello and welcome to 5 Minute Find, where we show you something you might have missed in 5 minutes or less. Today we're going to look at newspapers.com and how to put your Civil War ancestors in historical perspective. To gain historical perspective on your ancestors, one thing to try is to read the newspapers they read. My favorite place? Newspapers.com. Open the site and let's click on Papers. This will allow us to browse easily and to find what we're looking for. To limit the papers to the years I want, I'll use the date box. I'll enter 1861 and 1865 and then press Update. And now I'll only have 275 papers from 1861 to 1865. This will allow me to look for either places, people, or whatever else I find interesting. Now we can search for interesting terms in these papers, such as War Correspondent. That will help us find stories from the front. We find one example of this in the Raleigh Register from Raleigh, North Carolina. This War Correspondent, if you look down at the end, says, "A terrible case of suffering in this sad place has just come to my notice." Then he goes on to tell about a poor woman who was confined to her bed with her child and how they both died. Unfortunately, they didn't give a name, which would have been great if they were your ancestor to give you details. But it does give you some details about what was going on in Fredericksburg. Do you want to read how your ancestors learned about the Battle of Gettysburg? We know it happened from July 1st to July 3rd, so let's look for newspapers from July 4th. Let's also type in Gettysburg into the search box. This Raleigh paper gives us a southern view. Advance of our troops on Harrisburg, the city probably in our possession. A bit of wishful thinking, no doubt. And then over here it gives us an article on General Lee's march into Pennsylvania. We can look at the New York Times for a northern view. The great battles. Full details of the Battle of Wednesday. The enemy repulsed at all points. The rebels the attacking party. This will give you an idea of how the North was looking at things. A little bit different than the Raleigh paper. You'll also notice, as you look at this paper, there are columns of the dead. Now these just may be officers and may not include your soldier, but it may tell you something about the unit your soldier served in. Also notice that you can open the film strip and flip back and forth between different days. This is really useful when you're looking at multi-day battles like the Battle of Gettysburg. When viewing a page from a paper, if you want to change dates, sometimes it's easier to click on the name of the paper. This will bring a drop-down menu. From there you can choose different years, different months, different days. This will allow you to see how many pages there are per paper and to move around easily over big jumps. So the next time you start thinking, my ancestors were boring, they never did anything, think about the times in which they lived. Those were probably pretty interesting. And start looking through the newspapers that they would have read, because that's a good reflection of what they were thinking, or at least what they were hearing. If we look at the New York Times, it shows us first when the war started, all the way to the end. The second one is from April 10th, 1865, right after Lee surrendered at Appomattox. And then it will also show you the aftermath. This paper here tells us about President Lincoln's assassination. So if you're trying to spice up your family history, if you want to put something great in that blog post, if you just want something new and different to look at and make you think about your ancestors differently, look at what they looked at. Read what they read. And by the way, since you're already an Ancestry.com subscriber, when you sign up for either newspapers.com or Fold3 or both, and use the same email address you've used for Ancestry, you'll automatically be given a discount. What's better than a discount? Great information at a cheaper price? You should sign up. This has been 5 Minute Find with Anne Gillespie Mitchell. Happy searching!